Hey folks, so we had some technical difficulties. When I recorded this video, there were some issues where the microphone didn't pick up. Mostly I am showing off the progress that was made last week. I also put in a ladder system to get up to the top of this so that I could zip up here more easily. Also, I realized while I was up here that I should probably put in some more blocks. That way, like, if you have something to push against, it's easier to line up a ladder. So the big takeaway from this video is I decided that I wanted to go to the Nether. I talked about it a little bit in the last video, but the overarching goal is, hey, it's time to go to the Nether. So as a result, there's a couple things that I'm going to need. The first thing that's needed is obviously flint and steel. And I didn't remember how to make a flint and steel, so I had to go look up the pattern. This is super awkward. I hope to never have to do this again, where I do a dub over. But yeah, so I'm going to craft a flint and steel and get that going. And then obviously the next step is I've got to grab some obsidian. In the previous video, I kind of talked about what exactly I wanted to do. And as a result, I decided I am going to dig down to what is essentially ground level. And I realized I could have done this pre-work off air, and it probably would have been beneficial to do this pre-work off air. But it didn't. So you get to watch me hang out here and hollow out some rock. The only problem is where I decided to dig is right up against the outside. And as a result, I break through, which becomes a progressively bigger problem as I get further down. So yeah, like I just kind of half-ass it right here and plug the hole, which doesn't last for very long. So we're going to keep digging down, and I am momentarily distracted by the coal, which I really don't need coal anymore. So not even sure why it's a thing, but after so many Minecraft starts where the crux of the start is in desperation looking for coal, that I guess I can't not care about coal. So I get stuck with some gravel. I hate gravel. Gravel's annoying. So I've got to deal with switching over to gravel, and I'm too cheap to actually build shovels. I don't know what it is about a shovel in Minecraft, but they seem to last way less time than any other instrument. And maybe it's just because there's so much dirt in Minecraft that you spend most of your time working on it. And yeah, as I say, I broke through. And again, I was trying to reach the ground floor, and I did so. And now I get the brilliant idea that I should maybe just kind of create an artificial box, because this problem isn't going to go away. No amount of adjusting my path is going to make the problem go away. So yeah, I just kind of sit here and box stuff in. And I also get the brilliant idea that maybe I should just go ahead and make a doorway while I'm down here, which is honestly like a good idea. But then I cover it up with blocks, and it doesn't actually help. And I don't know why I thought I couldn't just like place another block there, but whatever. So this is me, counting the blocks to make sure it's where I wanted it. Okay. So yeah, this is me just blocking it in, because I think I figured I would deal with that at some point in the future, and don't do anything with it right now. So, and at this point, I've got to kind of clean up my mess. So I'll throw a torch up on the wall, and then figure out where exactly I want my door. And I have this weird fascination with 3x3 entrances. And I think part of that is the fact that in real life, I am a very tall man. I am 6'4", and everything feels very claustrophobic to me in general, because the world is not designed for anyone that tall by nature. So I end up doing these things where like I create larger than needed entrances. So now we just got to whittle out all this rock, because I have this concept of what I want the door to look like. And essentially, like, since you can enter the door either way, I always try and make sure my nether portals are open on the back. But yeah, so this is just more mining, and there I spy some iron that I'm gonna have to deal with here in a few minutes, because I can't pass up iron. And honestly, like, the thing that scares me the most about going into the nether is that, like, I have this fear that the second I pop through the door, there's gonna be something like a ghast, and I'm gonna die. And that's it. That's all she wrote. And so, like, the nether is someplace I want to go, because it's been really since the nether first went into the game that I've seen it. Like, when I was in there, it was just this lava filled wasteland, no biomes, and from what I've heard, there's now like different biomes in the nether. And that was not a thing. Like, I think the only real difference that you had in the nether was that you had like nether fortresses. But for the most part, it was like all the same blocks. It was like soul sand and netherrack and glowstone, and that was pretty much it. That's all you really had. Like, there's minerals now in the nether, supposedly, so it's a vastly different experience than when I first went in there. But it's still kind of cool. Okay, so I think I'm getting close to sorting out what the hell I want. Okay, so this is the point at which I decide, oh, if I do a 3x3 entrance, it's gonna look weird. So I decide to remodel, because it's a thing I do, and it's going to end up bothering me otherwise. And then I realize, oh, well, then now I'm going to have to move this wall, because it's no longer centered. And that's a thing that would also annoy me. So here we go. And then, so the theory is you only need 10 blocks of obsidian to make a nether portal, but that ends up meaning that the corners of the nether portal don't actually aren't obsidian, and look at me, doing an off by a row problem. So yeah, here's this is where things go off the rails a little bit with the Nether portal, because instead of Googling it, I decide I'm going to try and wing it, and I thought I remembered it being a specific way, and here we go. So that's not going to work at all. So I quickly realize that I'm now going to have to remove 3 blocks and replace them in order to do what I want them to do. And I don't think I get what I'm doing at this point. And about halfway through, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, no. I need to remove a different block. And Obsidian takes so freaking long. So now I'm going to have to... Okay, there we picked up the block, verified that I have the block. And now we've got to remove the 2 blocks that are up in the ceiling, because I was off further than I thought I was. I don't know how you do the voiceover without doing it past tense, because like I've watched videos that are very obviously a voiceover and they're doing it as though it's happening at that moment, and that is a skill that I lack. That is not at all a thing that I will ever be able to do. That amount of duplicity. So yeah, I'm gonna put the 3 blocks in, and then I'm gonna second guess myself for a moment before I realize that is in fact the configuration. But it lights, and boom, we've got a Nether portal. So now it is time to run up and dump everything that I don't absolutely need in a chest, because this could be super dangerous. Like that's my thought process as I'm going through this, is I haven't been to the Nether since the very first patch. I don't know what the Nether looks like anymore. So I think I'm going to bring a couple stone picks and get rid of most of the dirt and cobblestone, and then get rid of, I think at some point I realized I've got the stairs in there, or maybe, oh right, I put downstairs because that's a thing that apparently needed to happen before I go into the Nether. Because you can't go into the Nether with the wrong kind of staircase. So yeah, it's okay. So here we go, eating up, and it's now or nothing. We're gonna go into the Nether. I don't know why I'm stalling, but like, oh right, I'm trying to take a picture, because that's a thing. I use this software called ShareX for screenshotting, and it's kind of amazing. So I use it to capture screenshots and pretty much everything I do. And then I remembered, oh, hey, you have to stand in the middle, and it takes a while. Okay. And this is the Nether, and there's piglins and trees, and like, this is not at all what I remember the Nether looking like. Also, these guys are totally hostile, and I don't remember the piglins being hostile, which confused me for a few, because like when I last was in the Nether, they just roamed around. Like, they all became hostile if you attacked one of them, but like for the most part they were all neutral mobs. And I'm going to try and draw that thing over here so that I can maybe get it. Okay, so that went better than expected, like, to be honest. And now I realize I'm essentially in a forest. So get some mushrooms, and that thing is chasing, Piglin is chasing a, whatever the hell the big pigs are called. So I can get some wood because might as well. And I get some dirt, I get some of whatever the hell that is. And I'm just now noticing there was more of whatever it was in the hole, and I completely ignored that. And I think my theory is that, like, I'm starting to carve out a little niche, and then I get interrupted. Because I start hearing, like, bad noises of the pig people. And then I go back to making my hidey hole. Because you got to have a base of operation, and at least the theory is if you have a safe spot in the Nether, it's someplace that you can hide whenever things go south. And I put in a door so I can see what the heck's going on. Start widening it just to give myself a little bit more space. And I realized after the fact that basically everything I'm harvesting is netherrack, which is fine, but I think it's useful. And we break through into another level. And that's one of the things I remember about the Nether, is that it's very porous. There's all these little pockets. And you have to be super careful because, like, some of the pockets could open up and you will fall to your death. And I decided to come up here and explore because I've not spent much time up here. And I realize that pig is aggro. That pig is aggro. What the hell? And I'm dead. And that, folks, is all she wrote. That is the end of my hardcore adventure. Now, normally, if I had failed to get audio off of one of these, I would have just skipped it. But no, this is fairly significant, which leaves us a question. So there's a bunch of things I could do to figure out how I'm going to proceed from here. I think regardless, I'm going to take the weekend off and try and figure out where I want to go now. I was going to take the weekend off anyway, but like now it actually gives me something to mull over. Challenge here is, like, there's some ways of fixing this. I'm not going to go back to hardcore with this. Like, I'm not going to reset this and go back to hardcore like this death didn't happen. Like, hardcore was an experiment, and that experiment ended up here. I am kicking around the notion of editing my game file and flipping it back to survival and then continuing from there. I don't know if that's going to be the final decision that I make or not, though. Anyway, I will see you next time. Have a good one.